Hey guys, for over 12 years now here in the Horsepower Shop, we've been helping you launch quicker and run faster, much to the chagrin of police. Well, look out. Today, the tables are turning. We've been dying to hop up the power in one of these late model Hemi Chargers. Now I guess we get our wish while building more muscle onto the long arm of the law.
I want to be advised they're investigating a shooting that occurred in their city yesterday. Victim may have returned fire on the suspect.
I've been on the Williamson County Sheriff's Department for 8 years.
Ain't got anything else. Let's go to work.
I was mainly striving just to become a police officer, period, being out on the road. You know, I come out here every day not knowing what I'm going to do. It's not the same kind of job every day.
Here's our chance to discover why the new Dodge Charger fits the needs of law enforcement. Who better to ask than Deputy Brian Welch?
I'm in this car 6 to 8 hours a day. You know, it's my office. I like the room, but I also like how it's a little bit quicker than the Crown Vic. The Charger's got a lot more power on the takeoff. Their top speed is well over what the Crown Vic is.
It's a sad fact that speed is a necessary tool of law enforcement. The number of desperate or stupid suspects fleeing police is on the rise. This recent pursuit by Brian's department crossed multiple county lines at speeds in excess of 100 miles an hour.
You need a quicker responding patrol car because most of the cars that are out here right now will outrun most of the patrol cars. And most of the time, whenever you're pursuing somebody anyways, they're more than likely going to be a threat to the public. So it's better for us to catch up to them and get them in custody so that way they will not be a threat to the public anymore.
It's not just speed they rely on, but also the technology to control it.
Braking's so important because most of the time that we're out here, they're on curvy roads and we need good braking.
Brian says the key to a successful pursuit is a cool head,
You just hit Chuck in the back end.
good training,
Hit pursuit.
and the right equipment. I think it's time we help improve the odds, don't you? This Charger comes with a police package that includes things like upgraded cooling system, suspension, and braking, but our package is more about power and performance. Good, we're there.
Before we go to work, we want to see what we're working with in the way of baseline power. Now the 5.7-liter engine is rated at 340 horsepower and 390 foot-pounds of torque. Now since it's an automatic, the power loss to the rear wheels should be about 20%.
I'm gonna do that time.
269.
Cool. Let's do another one just to do it.
After several consistent runs, we got 279 horsepower, 323 foot-pounds of torque, which is right on the money.
That's it. That's what we get to work off of.
We can beat that.
Oh yeah, we'll be able to clobber that.
Yeah, we're going to do it starting with an Air-Raid cold air induction kit and a POWERAID throttle body spacer. Now when all that extra air is used up, we're going to get rid of it through a pair of JBA Shorty headers, on into a Flowmaster Y-pipe, set of their mufflers, and a pair of their resonators. Then we can reprogram the Hemi's computer with this HyperTech Max Energy Power Programmer. Oh, we didn't forget about brakes. We're going to improve those with these slotted rotors and pads from EBC. Most of you know their performance benefits when you upgrade from a factory exhaust manifold to a set of headers, but let me show you why. With this thing, 3 exhaust ports share one common runner, and when they reach the collector, well, it's kind of like a 4-car pileup with all that air. Meanwhile, with this JBA, it's a shorty, but it's got longer individual runners, and when the air reaches this collector, thanks to that velocity cone, well, it's on a ride in the fast lane to the exhaust.
For a late model V8, these headers go up pretty easy with plenty of room to work.
Except for less weight, the crossover assembly is pretty much like the stock one we took off. But the 40 series mufflers has got a 2-chamber design to improve flow over the stock. Further back, the resonators from our kit control the sound in a streamlined, lightweight case. Stainless steel tips complete the new exhaust system. Now who says a man with a badge can't have a little bling? Now Brian mentioned earlier that braking is just as important as acceleration. And although these things work well, check this out. They wear very quickly. These things only have 13,000 miles on them. We're swapping them out for a set of these EBC Ultimax slotted rotors. Now the slots help the gases and dust escape, and the rotor's actually designed to prevent any irregular pad wear. And the black coating, well, that's there to prevent any corrosion. And after a short break-in period, it wears off on the contact area. And the pads also have a special coating on them to help bed them in properly. They've also got a hard compound to help them last longer and to handle the abuse Brian's gonna put them through every day. Now in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and finish up these 4 corners while we take a break. Then we'll make it inhale more air, re-educate it with a power programmer, and then retest it on the dyno jet where we finally give it back to Brian for the ultimate payoff.
Today, horsepower is responding to a code 1 from our local sheriff's department. We're in pursuit of more power and performance in a deputy's Dodge Charger. Now, so far, we gave it a complete, better-flowing, lightweight exhaust, then beefed up the brakes. See, I don't have to tell you the benefits of more air coming into your engine, and Air-Raid claims their cold air induction kit can boost air supply up to 20% and free up 18 horsepower. And well, the rationale is pretty simple. The filter and inlet combination are a lot less restrictive than the OE setup. While heat's always an issue in a cop car like this, the splash shields protect the filter from engine heat and inclement weather. When the incoming air reaches the throttle body, it's going to pass through this helix bore spacer that causes it to spin, and that creates a better fuel-air mix. And between them, this new inlet tube will provide an unrestricted shot of fresh air.
This is even easier. We're swapping the stock plugs out for a set of E3 Diamond Fires, and for a good reason. We tested them on our dyno and found an 8 horsepower gain on a ZZ4. Isn't technology great? Now they produce multiple sparks as opposed to these. It's like adding a taser to your Hemi. Everything we've added so far is to complement this, the heart of the project. Now it's a max energy power programmer from Hypertech. Now along with power programming, it's gonna allow us to change the speed limiter, the rev limiter, and transmission shift points, along with how hard those shifts hit. Plus there's plenty of other options we get to play with. They released this version recently for the Charger, and it's already a favorite for law enforcement and a curse for criminals. The tune we decided on will raise the timing, add more fuel, burn it more efficiently, and calibrate other factors to free up horsepower the factory held back. At first, you won't feel much more power because it takes a little seat time for the computer and the new program to get to know each other. But we're gonna let this thing finish up, then get it on the dyno for a break-in and some improved pulls.
During a 40-minute break-in at varying speeds, the Cop Charger sure has an arresting sound. Let's see if it can capture a better horsepower number than the 279 baseline. Yeah, pretty consistent, 300 horsepower that time, 327 foot-pounds of torque, but let's check out a before and after graph here. At 4,900 RPMs, we get our biggest gain, 27 horsepower over the baseline here, and 28 foot-pounds of torque over the baseline. Now, of course, we could dyno this thing all day, but the only thing that matters is what Brian feels in the seat of his Sheriff's Department issue pants.
I asked them to put some spinners on, but they wouldn't do it.
How much horsepower does it have? Got big brakes on it now, boy.
Rev that thing up. I definitely ain't gonna sneak up on nobody, I'll tell you that right now. Yeah, looking at cars next to me. Let's go.
You know he will at least once. You know he will.
Viper, this could have been you.
All right, man, be careful.
I'll see you tonight, Chief.
See you, hot rod.
See you, Captain.
I can tell he's over here itching to hammer down on the car and see what it's about.
Well, let's see what it's got.
All right, save the hate mail. It's a fairly new highway and no traffic for miles.
It's just so smooth on the acceleration.
Yeah, you can definitely feel it. Man, it's amazing that I'm at 115, I push it, it's still taking off.
Pretty stable car too. It's not all over the road.
Brakes, oh man, much smoother. Yeah, those brakes are a lot better.
Let's see how much better with a standard 60 to 0 test.
Through the windshield we go.
Feel better than
Oh
before?
man, yes. Oh yeah.
Man,
Oh,
that thing hauled it down.
much better.
Wow.
We did the same test earlier with the stock brakes for a distance of 87 feet. Looks like the EBC brakes shaved off 9 more, and they're not even fully bedded in yet.
Y'all want to do 0 to 60 in gravel?
Brian's getting giddy. Time to put him back to work. He stopped a lot of speeders that afternoon, but shared his joy by only giving them warnings. However, don't mistake kindness for weakness. All you pathetic dashcam stars, beware. Brian's out there. How will you know it's him off your flank? You'll figure it out. We'll be right back.
Next up, we'll visit the tech experts at TrickFlow. Those guys are making it easier for you to make power in the 4.6-liter engine. You'll discover easy ways to bolt on performance, good for 100 extra horsepower.
Factory hot rod days were back when the 5th generation Mustang showed up, a long-awaited old-new muscle car persona. A retro look outside, but under the skin, a powertrain made for new-age high performance. Compared to its pushrod predecessors, the 4.6-liter is a technical triumph, with less reciprocating mass for plenty of power potential. And it accepts a gang of aftermarket goodies that you can add when plenty of power is just not enough. But hey, let's face it, this is not your typical old small block. It's an EFI-fed, dual-cam, dual-chain mod motor. To work on it may seem like the Wright brothers trying to fly an F-14. But guess what? It's not all that intimidating when you think of the dual overhead cam motor as 2 4-cylinder motors joined together. Sure, there are lots of steps in the teardown and a few special tools required, but something like a basic cam and spring swap is an easily doable deal and good for 35 to 40 horsepower. Cam degreeing? Well, it's done pretty much like the old pushrod motor, except you get to do it twice. On a recent trip to TrickFlow Engineering, the tech guys showed us how to take the 4.6 to a higher performance level using their twisted wedge heads. They're loaded with improvements over stock like thicker decks, a better shot at the intake, and much more.
We took the intake valve and we actually flipped the intake valve to the other side of the camshaft. It's a little bit hard to see on the rocker cover side, but if you flip the head around, you can definitely see a huge improvement. If you look at the 2 chambers, you can see the intake valve got moved from this plane actually over to this plane. The whole chamber is completely different, and it results in a lot more horsepower, a lot better flowing intake port, and the intake valve is actually a straighter shot to the intake port.
Again, there are quite a few steps involved in the swap, but these guys have made the process pretty simple. Part of their job is to test and retest parts, and today's agenda included a whole top-end kit.
Another component that we need to look at in our buildup is the intake manifold. As you can see, the factory intake is a flimsy plastic. It's really not great, especially for power adder applications. The TrickFlow intake, on the other hand, is cast aluminum, made in the United States, has a throttle body opening that will accept either a 70 or 75 millimeter throttle body. It's fully CNC machined, and you can see the plenum and the runner cross section are optimized for great mid-range and upper RPM horsepower.
Well, later on in their dyno cell, we peeked over Al's shoulder to see some peak numbers of horsepower and torque. Very impressive for a very impressive new old American hot rod.
Build on a budget. Horsepower projects that save you time and money.
Ever since the 1979 Mustang, vehicles have rolled off the assembly line with serpentine belts like this. Now these things are a lot more efficient than your older multiple belt systems because they can handle the extra tension without stretching. Now they can get a little pricey to replace, so today I'm going to show you how to get a little more life out of your old one. In fact, Joe's daily driver has one that's a perfect candidate. It's starting to squeal when he starts it up, which is a sure sign of its age. Over the years, these belts become embedded with dirt and other residue that finds its way into the grooves of the belt. Just scrub it with a solution of water and liquid dish soap. Now, in case you're wondering if anything's coming off, here's the proof. Now just rinse it with clean water. Just let it dry all the way before putting it back on. Now, when is a belt a little too far to be saved? When they're like this, dry and cracking all the way around the belt, plus that's missing a couple of chunks, but it's definitely one to keep around for a spare. This simple procedure won't cost anything but a little bit of time, plus it'll help keep you from breaking down on the side of the road and get rid of that little annoying squeak.
Sleeping Beauty might have been a popular fairy tale for kids, but sleeping battery is a real-world nightmare for car guys. That's when your battery becomes so discharged, it's stratified. Well, C-Tech has this new 7002 charger that can wake up any sleeping battery. In fact, there's the reconditioning mode that gives it the right kiss of power. Other features include this supply mode that'll hold complicated electronic settings like your GPS when you work on the car. And there's even a comfort indicator. See the little LED lights up there? That tells you the story of your battery's charge. C-Tech's got several different chargers that'll fit your budget. In fact, one, this 800, is less than 50 bucks.
How would you like to add a little personal touch to your ride's gauges? Well, now you can add custom graphics and logos to all of Speed Hut's gauges, just like this 4.5-inch tack that's made to work with any type of ignition system. Now, same goes for their shift light. This thing has an LED readout along with adjustable brightness settings. And check this out. This is their gauge set that you can customize the faces with any color or option you want. Now, these things are made in the USA and have a lifetime warranty. I bet Brian wants a set of these in his Charger. Now, I guarantee you're going to get revved up over next week's horsepower. That's more than to come back and finish our Olds 455. We'll see you then.